The editorial board of the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times. I thought it was the Wall Street Journal. It's both of them, Mr. Producer. Urging this one is the New York Times editorial board. Breitbart has it. Begs Republicans to abandon Trump. Calls him a unique danger. And then we have the Wall Street Journal urging Republicans to abandon DeSantis. So Nikki Haley has a shot. The Wall Street Journal editorial page is really interesting in some ways and predictable. Just when you think they're promoting free market capitalism, just when you think they're promoting secure borders, which they never did in their history, just when you think they're starting to turn around, well, there they are, the usual, under Paul Gigot. They're in Mitch McConnell's back pocket, pretty much. And the Wall Street Journal editorial page is, in my view, directly rooting for Nikki Haley. Why? What does Nikki stand for that's so important? Well, she can win based on what? Well, she's 10 points ahead. That poll is a week old. And wait until people understand that she stands for literally nothing and everything at the same time. So we're supposed to rally around Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley doesn't rally around Nikki Haley. One day Nikki Haley is not Nikki Haley, and then another day she is. So rally around. They all reject conservatism, whether it's sort of a common sense conservatism of Trump or more of a philosophical conservatism of Ron DeSantis. And they really reject it, which is why they promote Peggy Noonan, who is promoting Chris Christie. These people are so completely out of touch. They're as out of touch with the American people outside of New York and outside of L.A. and outside of Washington, the rest of the country, and even those parts of the country, as the Democrats. As the Democrats. The GOP establishment, ruling class media, whether it's my dear friends at National Review, my dear friend Rich Lowry, whether it is our friends at the Wall Street Journal editorial board, and by the way, those people were trashing the Tea Party, any movement that's intended, even in little steps, to try and get us back on the path to fiscal sanity, securing the border, reducing the size of government, and of course the pushback's going to be heavy, it's going to be ugly, it's going to be constant and relentless. They want nothing to do with. Oh, they give some of it some voice, but then when push comes to shove, it's Nikki Haley. Now, I want to say something that is not intended to be mean, but it is what it is, and I call it as I see it. In many ways, Nikki Haley reminds me of, and I posted this, Mr. Producer, Kamala Harris. She was all over Fox today, all over everywhere, and I'm listening to her, and more word salad you never heard from a Republican before. Except this guy Sununu, who always seems like he's high on sugar or something's going on there. But nonetheless, maybe he just talks fast because he doesn't want you to really focus on what he says. That could be it. But I listen to Nikki Haley, and she's going on, and she's on with Kilmeade, and she's done. I said, what the hell did she just say? Other than, it's now a two-man race. Excuse me, I thought you were proper. A man can't be a woman. Man can be a woman. So it's a two-person race, right? Isn't that the new language? But it's not. And I was listening to her rationale, just like we were listening to the response, which was preposterous and incoherent on whether a man could be a woman. Word salad. That's what we get from Nikki Haley now. Word salad. So in that respect, she reminds me of Kamala Harris. Then there's another aspect that reminds me of Kamala Harris. And this is the one where I don't mean to come across in a brutal way, but I'm just going to tell you what I'm thinking. I'll try and say it as nicely as I can. You're asked about the Civil War, and you don't know how to answer that question, what the Civil War was fought over, and then you need your spin doctors to come in after the fact. You refuse to say that a man cannot be a woman. It's biologically impossible. Smarts. Let me try and put it kindly. She's definitely not the smartest of the three candidates remaining. You agree with me, Mr. Producer? 100%. The word salads, the inability to really answer direct questions. There's some politics in that, obviously, as it is with Kamala Harris. But it doesn't come across as too smart to me. Now, I understand this is not what somebody like me is supposed to say. Wait a minute, what are you trying to say? I'm not trying to say anything. I said it. And I mean it. So her word salads and then basic questions about the Civil War and can a man be a woman? It's very worrisome to me. Very worrisome. This is what happens when you're not, when you're unmoored. When you're more interested in the race, the political race, and you're more interested in winning, and you're more interested in building coalitions than having a principle, win or lose, and building the right coalitions. That's the difference. And I don't want to hear that she's 10 points ahead and she can win. Oh, okay. Thank you, Washington. Thank you, think tankers. Thank you, political analysts who are wrong all the time. Look at the polls, they tell us. No, I'd rather not, actually, because they're always wrong. They support her because she's one of them and they're her. She represents their kind of politics. They don't want to clean up the Republican Party. I'm not saying about purity. They just don't want to clean up their act. They prefer to whine about the budget, whine about the border, say Biden's really going to get smacked. And then when you ask them, well, what is the answer to this? We have people, Nikki Haley is not and has never been a strong supporter of securing that border. She's never been a strong proponent of taking on communist China. And I don't mean with war and that sort of thing. I mean just economically. In fact, she gave them land for free. She doesn't want to get involved in these culture wars, but these culture wars are what's killing us. The brainwashing of our children, what's going on about men and women and all the rest. So when DeSantis takes on Disney, she takes the side of Disney. And now her line is, we don't need any more chaos. And she means with Trump, we have all this chaos because they've taken polls and people are saying we want normalcy. We can't handle this anymore. Trump isn't causing chaos. Our enemies are causing chaos with Trump. They're the ones indicting him. They're the ones filing endless motions. They're the ones getting these outrageous decisions with a lot of political rhetoric from these Democrat judges. Trump's not doing that. He's the one getting sued civilly constantly. He's not creating the chaos. And by the way, you want to see chaos, Nikki? Go to the southern border and stay there for a week. That's chaos. And so we get these bumper stickers. I don't want chaos. Too many 80-year-olds in Washington, D.C. Well, let me put it to you this way. Maybe there are, maybe there aren't. But there's a 35-year-old who's a Marxist-Leninist who's trying to push our country in the wrong direction. Then there's at least one too many 35-year-olds in Washington, D.C., if you get my point. All this talk, all the time, about the superficial and not what's between somebody's ears is so frustrating. So frustrating. Churchill was prime minister at a relatively old age until they threw him out, and then they reelected him. Ronald Reagan was president at a relatively old age. As he left office, there was deterioration. But he's one of our greatest presidents. Ataturk in Turkey, not that piece of you-know-what who's there now, Erdogan, the genocidal terrorist. He was fairly old when he left office. The problem is Joe Biden is old. The problem is Joe Biden is none of those people. The problem is when they say Joe Biden is living history and experience. His history and experience are loathsome. Loathsome. Even when he had a mind, they were loathsome. So all 80-year-olds aren't alike, all black people aren't alike, all white people aren't alike, all Jews aren't alike, all this. Joe Biden is 81 or 82 going on 112. And that's apart from his disastrous policies. But Nikki Haley's into groupthink, so it doesn't matter. If you're 80 or older, there's too many of you. In her speech, which I didn't think was too magnanimous, I heard a liberal friend of ours on Fox going on about DeSantis. He didn't even thank his people and sort. And I like Harold Ford. I think he's a really good guy. I'd like to meet him one day. But he's wrong. The worst speech was Nikki Haley. Down to a two-man race. You think we're stupid? We know she's going to do well in New Hampshire. We know the fix is in. We know the fix is in New Hampshire, and we know why she's going to do well. Democrats. Democrat money. Liberal Republicans. A clownish governor. We got it. We know. And that's the juggernaut where she's going to win a state like Pennsylvania or Alabama or Montana. No, it's not. You can't win the Republican nomination hoping that you'll have enough open primaries that you're going to get Democrats and Democrat billionaires to fund your super PAC. That's why she will have no mandate. That's why she has. All right, let me put it to you this way. You people who voted for her, give me 5 substantive things she's done. She's been in politics a long time. 5. That's all. 5. Should be able to give me 50. Just 5. I don't know of 5. Do you, America? And I've looked. So the New York Times begs Republicans, as they write at Breitbart, to abandon 2024 frontrunner Trump for Nikki Haley. And the Wall Street Journal begs DeSantis to get out. So we have a one-on-one race. No, they want him out because of Nikki Haley. Look, there's a lot of reasons for people to get out and get in. What I'm saying is what these 2 editorial pages are doing is so obvious. Both of them despise Trump. The New York Slimes and the Wall Street Journal. That's why they wrote the editorials that they wrote. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.